All right, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Woman's Strong to Experience show for August 5th, 2023. Our guest is here. She is a business owner. She is the founder and owner of Craver Collections Floral Design. So we'll get into that in a little bit, talk about the description of that. She'll probably tell you more about it and the story that behind the business. She's a woman of God. She's a leader. She's definitely a problem solver. She's definitely a go-getter. So let's welcome Miss Camille Craver.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I said that right. So.
Yes, you did say it right. You did say most people put the A before the R, but it's Craver, C-R-A.
Okay, got it. Okay, I about to do that. I was like, maybe cut myself now. So how was the week? How's everything going?
Week is very busy. The last couple of weeks have been very busy. Things are starting to come up, and it's starting to get a little bit crazy. But it's good. It's good.
It's good. It's good though, right? Yes, it's good. So let's get right to it. Who is Camille Craver?
I am. How can I put it? I am I think out of the box. I am somebody who likes to help, sees the issue, and want to get it done corrected and get it done the right way and kind of move forward. I'm very passionate about the things that I do and the people who are in my life. I love God because he is the ultimate everything. And I just like to enjoy life, just have a good time, just take the time to stop and smell the roses, so to speak. And that's kind of cliche because I'm a florist, but...
Right, like you kind of like live for the moment.
Live for the moment,
yeah.
Yeah,
so who was Camille growing up?
I was a skinny little kid who was kind of always in the corner, off to the side, just doing her own thing. I was kind of the black sheep because I wasn't like the other kids. I was a daddy's girls, tomboy, grew up with all the boy cousins and like the little 2-3 girl cousins. I ain't want to be bothered with them because I wanted to go out and play, and they wanted to play without babies, and I wanted to be outside. Right. So the boys was outside, so I was outside with the boys. I did get in a bit of trouble, but it was good trouble. My grandma kind of wrangled me in and like, hey, you still are a girl. So we did those things, but it was kind of cool. I was mostly quiet though.
Okay. So what was your life as you got older, being a teenager? What was you got? Was it the same way, or you grew out of it, or?
As I grew older, I was kind of both an introvert and an extrovert. It depended on the area or the situation. If I was outside, I'm outside. I'm doing everything, talking to everybody, all over the place, jumping, flipping, dipping, you call it, name it, I was doing it. In the house, I was mostly quiet. In the house, I was reading, writing, and just kind of to myself. So I was one of those kids that I could play by myself. I don't really need people to play with you. And as a teenager, growing up in the background, when you come from a dysfunctional home and you got one side that's good and one side that's bad, you kind of just try to figure out both. Right. So for me, I got into music, I got into colors, pictures, just always thinking of being in another place. So my creativity started to kind of expand and my imagination just went completely wild. And then at that time, being a teenager, because I just wanted to be out of the house, I got into sports. I played basketball, gymnastics, soccer, field hockey. I was on the softball team. I ran track and field. I was a cheerleader. I was a dancer. Volleyball. Like I pretty much played a little bit of everything, just so I could have a longer time outside.
Right. So you be more organized. So you get that competitive fake nature. Yeah. It's like that. So did you go to college?
I did go to college. I went to community for 2 years, and then I went to Temple. I didn't finish Temple because my dad had passed away, and I just never went back. But I don't regret that. But at college, it was fun. I took a study in business economics and then literary arts. And then I was just outside.
Okay.
From there, then I started working as a communications engineer, and that kind of started from being a temporary staff member of customer service. And then one day somebody walked out and nobody wanted to try to tackle the job, and I was like, well, I learned fast, so I'll try it. And then from there, I wound up running the whole team.
Wow. How long was doing that? You used to do it?
I did that up until 2011. In 2011, I got sick. I had what is called polycystic kidney disorder. And I got sick. I didn't know it. I didn't know what was going on. I was at work one day and just simply fell out. Wow. And then they diagnosed me with that. And then from there, basically where I was at, my standpoint, I had to take off. I took off work and then I wound up just leaving the job. Okay. Because I was focused on my health. So then I started studying, what is it? What does it happen? How does it happen? And it's a hereditary disease. And then I was trying to figure out who or what had it in my family. Right. And I didn't really find out until maybe a year or two ago. So it was just, it's been a long haul. It's been a long haul. But God is still God.
God still God. So you still have it, or is it gone?
It doesn't go away. It's with you for your life. Polycystic kidney disease is basically when your kidneys fill up with fluid-filled cysts. And it basically just takes over your kidney. Like they just build up and they just keep growing until you have to either go on dialysis, get a transplant, or whatever the case may be. In my case, God bless me, I was able to get a transplant. So, Amen. It is, not going to say it was, because it is. I'm only a year out from my transplant.
Oh, wow.
So, I was only on dialysis for 4 months. I was only in transplant just about 9 months. It happened supernaturally fast. But in that, it made me realize that you have to really take care of yourself. You have to know what's going on. You have to know your body. And you have to do the research because the doctors they really don't know. And everything that I needed was in my herbalism. And then I read something and then kind of triggered something. And I went in the Bible and I found it in the Bible. And I was like, I don't like the medication. I take it because I needed to do what it's functioned to do, what it's genetically created to do. But I also use it with different herbs like beet powder, lion's mane. What else I got in there? I got a combination of different like shiitake mushrooms and things like that. And just drinking water, knowing like the food coloring and things of that nature. So I mean, it's cool. And what kept me going through it all is my business.
So how did the business start?
So my business started in 2005. Me and my dad was sitting down one day, and I originally started out as a caterer. Okay. So my business started in 2005, and my dad was like, "Well, you always cooking. You cooking for everybody." He's like, "Maybe you should turn it into a business." So me and my dad talked about it in 2005. We got all the things together. We was going to do this big party and everything. And then April 2006, my dad passed away. So 2006 I did nothing. 2007 I did nothing. And then 2008 I was like, I got all these things. I might as well pick it up and see what happens. So in 2008 I did my very first wedding as a caterer. And anything and everything that could possibly go wrong did.
Wow.
I mean, everything went wrong. Like, if you name it, it happened. But the best thing about it, I was able to plow through it. I was able to get there, get the food hot, get it served, get it, like people was calling the bride, calling the groom. Our truck broke down. One of my assistants dropped a whole pan of chicken. It was like, I'm like, yo, I am like losing my mind. I broke they had custom glasses. And the box, when I opened the box was upside down and one of the glasses fell out and broke. That's like, I had to send somebody to run across the street to Macy's and buy some crystal glasses. It was a mess. It was a whole mess. But at the end of the day, like, they were so happy. And she was like, this girl, like, really was hustling. Like, the food, she said, I don't have nobody complaining. The food was cold. The food was hot. The hors d'oeuvres were served. It was like, I went from doing a full sit down, then it's like, all right, we get ready to do a buffet. We're going to line it up, put the plates on the end. They just going to have to figure it out. And once they started getting the food and everything was hot, like, everybody was chill. And it came out great. So I did that maybe 2 more times, and I was like, yeah, I don't really want to cook for people. And it was like, I love cooking for like friends and family, but cooking for people is different.
Right, exactly.
So I was like, yeah, maybe I don't want to do this. So then life was lifing, and I just was like into work, and being an engineer is chaotic all the time. Especially when you're dealing with telephone, internet, and cable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people's phone go off, cable go off, internet go off, they lose their mind. So it's like, it's not working. Okay, what's not working? The phone is dead. Oh, how is it dead? Did you get it? Don't. Is it plugged in? Like, it's the little tedious questions that you gotta ask people, and they be like, I ain't trying to hear it. But then it's once the illness kicked in, and I had to battle with depression. I lost everything, my house, my car, you know, my job, almost lost my mind. And one day I said, I'm not going to sit and wait until I have the money. Let me just get back to my business plan and figure out like how to make this work. So I did a study of myself. I wrote down all the things that I like to do, and I wrote down all the skills that I had, and I saw where they connected. And then I went online and looked up and wanted them to know what kind of jobs should you do sites, like, you know, in the employment industry. And it said I was an event planner. So I was like, I do like parties. I do like to get dressed up. So let's try it. So I took a class. I got the little certificate that I was supposed to have. And I started event planning. So I did another wedding, and it was like, yeah, I really don't like people. And it's not that I don't like people, it's just the temperament. Because when they don't understand the difference between what they see and what it costs,
right,
that causes a bit of a conflict sometimes. So, but I do love, and I found out I did love the transformation of a space. Okay. So that's where I stopped the logistics part and just went strictly into the decor portion of it. So we started out just doing tablescapes, and we did that, and then we moved into floral, and floral really actually is like my jam. Like, I can see it, do it, pull it out, throw it up there, in a minute it's done. And then we recently, after the last 2 years, I shut my business down temporarily because I had to heal from the dialysis, the transplant, and all of that. So in that recovery time, I revamped my whole company. I rebranded it, I revamped it, I did the website, I got the magazines, did new business cards, and now I'm basically I'm doing basically just going out and doing things, talking to people to let like, hey, I'm back, let's go, like with y'all, whatever. And I changed the niche from doing such large things to smaller, more intimate things with a bigger decor. So with full production now, we do lighting, draping, tablescapes, floor. We have chefs, we have limo transportation companies, we have, you name it, I got somebody from anywhere. Like, I can send you to get a limo, I can send you to get a suit, I got a photographer, I can take you to go get your wedding dress. Like, we got a full stock, everything. So the goal now is to open a bridal studio. And the bridal studio basically will be a place where brides can come or grooms can come or both and bring their parties to get dressed and have an intimate experience instead of everybody trying to get to a hotel, trying to get to like you're doing that at your house. So we'll come pick you up in the morning, bring you to the studio. It'll be breakfast, hors d'oeuvres, bagels, you name it. You know, cocktails, mimosas, or whatever, and they can bring their stylist, their nail tech, their barber, whatever, and get dressed for the day, and we take them to their event, and then take them to their reception.
So how do you navigate through all those relationships you have, those student people that you're in your company? How do you like delegate and navigate through that? Did you hire someone to get this person that's good, this person, or did you run out and did that yourself?
In the beginning, I did it myself. In the beginning, you have to put in the legwork. You have to put in the work. At anything that you do, you have to put in the work. So in the beginning, I did the legwork. I built the relationships with people. You know, I went out and was like, hey, I see you do this. Let's do something together. And I do a lot of B2B. So B2B is business to business work. So, you know, if you have an event space and I know how to do decor, hey, let me come in there and do the event, you know, do the decor decor work and you got the space, and then I said, okay, I know somebody who got an event space, and I'll send people.
Right.
So I built a lot of relationships like that. So when I need specific things, I can call and say, hey, okay, we have an event, and I always say we because we do it together. Mm-hmm. And if we work together, we can build together. And so a lot of my vendors, friends, you know, we always call it back and forth, like, hey, can you come and do a tablescape? Hey, can you come do this photo shoot? Hey, can you? And so that's how I delegate. I just basically see what it needs, and then I call the person that knows to do it, that it's their craft, and I say, hey, okay, so I'm going to be doing decor here, but they need a chef to do this. And then we kind of work together. We make one big invoice, and then everybody gets paid out.
Oh, okay. So now, since you've been back, what has been the biggest event y'all have done?
My biggest event that I did was at the Peace Touch event. 4 years ago. We did a wedding there, and it was an Indian wedding, and it was $150,000 budget.
Woo! Wow.
And they pretty much had everything.
Okay.
They had everything. It depends on the culture. So I have done a large event where they had like minimum decor, and then I have done very small events, and we've done $50,000 worth of decor. So the last thing I did was in Delaware in April. This year. So April 16th, 17th, we did a dinner party for 38 people, but it was a $51,000 budget. So we had like big elevated arrangements, 2 large statement tables, floor runners, lighting, cakes, desserts. We had full backdrop. What else did we do? And then dinner. So, you know, it was amazing. I just love what I do, you know, and the reason why I can do it is because it's a God-given talent, you know.
Right.
Everything that I do and everything that I have, I give it back to the Lord.
Right.
I have to, because in order for me to function, I have to reverence Him first, and that's just my take on anything. Mm-hmm. You know, I wake up in the morning and I basically thank God for all the small things, like I got hot water to take a shower,
right.
I got my own bed to sleep in. You know, the lights came on today. Like, it's just the little small things. And then when the bigger things come, I thank God for that as well. But my biggest thing about God is He's always there. Mm-hmm. Like, in your darkest hour, He's there.
Yeah, yes, He is.
You know, when you think there's no way out, it's a way of an escape. You know, when you think you're less than, you know, He reminds you some way that you're valued, that He values you. You know, and I always go to the scripture, if He will feed, and I'm just going
to paraphrase it.
Thank you. You know, if the trees are eat and the bees eat, why can't I?
Right.
You know, I'm not more than a tree, but I'm valued higher than a tree because He gave me dominion. He gave me power. He told me I can take territory. So I always kind of keep that in the back of my mind. And there are good days, and then there are some bad days. You know, and I just kind of work through that.
Right, you gotta be thankful for all things.
All the time.
You gotta thank you all things because it could be taken away so quickly, and you gotta be grateful.
It can.
And life does humble you sometimes. You gotta be humble and get back up. You can be mad for a second, but get back up.
Yeah, you have to.
So basically, So your next move is pretty much like getting a bigger studio for you.
So my next move is I am going to do a launch. I never launched my business. I just always kept working. Like I've just been working, and then I took a refresher course, and the teacher of the hour, she said, "Why are you in my class?" And I was like, "Well, you know, I just came off the transplant. I wanted to get back into everything." And she was like, "You work on the same level that I'm working on." And I'm making 6 figures a year. She was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I just got back. I'm still healing. She was like, "Yeah." She said, you charge too low." And I was like, So I revamped everything, and I have a deadline by the end of March of next year to launch my company. She's like, "Nobody knows you're out there." She was like, "So you have to launch." So that's what I'm working on. I'm working on my launch. I'm waiting for the right date. I prayed about it and wait for God to give me the time. He's already given me the vision, the color palette, and things like that. And I'm just working through the vendors to see who can provide the things that I need. Because I think I have about a $15,000 budget in decor alone. Like, that's not even including food.
Oh, wow.
That's not even including food and beverage, because I can't say I'm a production company and then I don't show you production. So, you know, and for me, production start at when you get out of your car. So when you get to the parking, you get out your car and you're walking up to the door, I have a grand entryway, and then you go inside, and then, you know, I want to make each element of it an experience, you know, and I want to kind of be a little bit interactive so people can see, you know, this is what you can have and things like that. And also just promoting kidney awareness, you know, knowing about blood pressure, diabetes, your heart, you know, walking. Like, people don't realize that if you just walk 30 minutes a day, just regular leisurely walk, how that helps you. You know, it removes the stress, it removes the anxiety of things. And they starting to intertwine for me. Just because I'm the person that people see me and they're like, you had a transplant? I'm like, yeah. They're like, well, you never know you were sick. I said, well, I wasn't sick. You know, I just have an element that I have to deal with. And if people had that mind frame when they get these diagnoses, that it's not a sickness, but it's just an element that you have to deal with, I don't think it would have such a hard impact and more people would survive. That's just
So how do you like create a budget? Like, because a budget for your events. How someone does the camera and does event planning. How did you create a budget for each one? How did you get like a set number for this spot? I know each number is different. Per event depends on the person. How did you set a number for that?
So what we did in the beginning, when people came in, I used to have a $6,000 minimum. And the $6,000 minimum for me would include your consultation, your simple session, and also going out to do your site visit. If you decided that that's what you wanted to do, then you would pay your retainer, which was a third of or whatever your budget was, and going off your inspiration. So there's not a set number, because as you said, every person is different. So when you say you send me inspiration pictures, you send me 10 pictures, and you say this is what you want, I kind of go through all the pictures and see what the corresponding element is in each one. And then I'll go and price out, okay, if you want these custom chairs, these chairs, and then based off your guest list. So if you got 100 people, then I got to get the cost for 100 of these chairs. And then how many tables are we going to use? And then how many napkins, and then we do that. And then how much you want on flowers. So then I do it in sections. So if it's a wedding, we start out with ceremony, then we go on to cocktail, then we go on a reception. And that's each element has a cost. And I try to tell people, you know, be mindful of your guest count. Because when you are not in a venue where your food and beverage is concerned, most venues today are starting at $150 per plate. So if you got 200 people, you already spent $25,000 on food and beverage.
Wow.
And then people will say, well, you know, they want the grand entrance. And I ask people, when you say grand, be specific about grand, because grand can just be, you might want a backdrop, or you want a whole entire flower wall, and depending on what your perspective is. And then I try to work with people's budget, but I try to give them a payment plan. I try to get them to understand, like, okay, what is your must-have? What are you not willing to sacrifice on? Like, what is your must-have? And get those out of the way, and then I'll do the cost for that. And then I'll say, okay, what's left that you're willing to spend, let's figure out what we can add from all the other elements. So we kind of build custom budgets. It's hard now to do because with social media, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and a lot of these events that people see are a lot of celebrities. So they have the money to spend $50,000 on a baby shower. And then you want to emulate it, you know. You want to emulate it, and you tell me you got $5,000. Well, you spent $5,000 on tables and chairs. You know, it's hard to, if you're not going to use what's already there, and you want a lot of custom rentals. Rentals are expensive. They have to be brought in. They have there's delivery fees and stuff that occur with that. And then there's setup fees, and then there's decor, there's flowers. It's a lot. It's a lot. And people often get sticker shock when they see the cost. And trying to explain to them, you know, this is what it is with the inflation, and you know, I try to keep my cost fair. You know, as fair as I can keep it, because I still have to pay the people who help me.
Right.
You know, and I still have to put in for my time. And people don't understand what goes in behind these events. They just come and say, "Oh my God, it's pretty," but they don't know that an event for Saturday starts on the Saturday before.
Right.
So you know, it's like we gotta pull the inventory. We gotta make sure it's clean. We gotta stack it up. I have a worksheet. So we have a worksheet and a load list. So the worksheet is this is all that we're doing for the event, and the load list is this is everything we need to execute the event. And then there's the trucking and the gas and the lodging and the food and the
moving.
the people
setting up, man. Putting back.
Come back, and then nobody thinks like we come back and we're working till 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, we're up at 6 and we're not done till probably 6. Depending on who where's live and things like that. And people don't think that. They don't think about that. You know, people who's like, well, I can do it myself. Well, praise God.
Right, praise God. Huh?
You know, if you want, well, I know somebody that will use them. Praise God. You know, and it's not. I don't get offended when people say, "Oh, I'm expensive," and I'm like, I'm not expensive. It's just what it costs.
Right.
You know, and I don't get discouraged. Like, I come from a military family, so my parents and was always like, "We don't give up, we don't surrender," and you know, that's always in the back of my mind too. So my determination is very, we gonna get it done. We gonna get it somehow.
Right. So I wanted to say this. I like you said something about everything you do is reverence to God, and I want people to watch it right now and listen to this, understand that everything you do, the purpose that God's bestowed upon you,
right,
you should give reverence to God, because God can take it away in 5 seconds. You have to be humble.
Less than 5 seconds.
Right. You gotta be humble, because God opened up doors for you. You gotta be first. You gotta say thank you, Lord, for the opportunity, because a lot of times people are gonna be people. People may not pay you on time. It's a work. It's a process to do this work.
And then he will also tell you, like, if you get a couple or a person that wants to have an event, he will also tell you what to give away. You know, for me, he'll tell, like, I have done whole weddings for free.
Wow.
I have done the whole wedding for free. Like, they paid me for their supplies and use it. You know what I mean? And I didn't charge them for any of the other things. Like, materials I have to charge you for, because I'm not paying for that. But it has been times where I paid for materials as well. You know, and they never said thank you. And, you know, I didn't take offense. I was like, okay, God, well, we're going to chalk that one up, you know. And I kept going. And that also teaches you how to price properly. That also teaches you how to use your discernment in the expectation. You know, when they say the 2 scriptures, well, I don't want to say 2, but these 2 scriptures for me, I always reverence as well. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And that means all things, because every person is given 5 gifts. And you have to just realize what those 5 gifts are. And once you learn what those 5 gifts are, then you will be able to navigate how to use them. And he will tell you, use this for that, use this for that, because you have to be able to navigate through things, and that's where discernment comes in. And then the other scriptures, those who are walking the shadow of death, I will feel evil. And I always cover that because God is a lamp unto my path and a light unto my feet. And those 2 is when you're in these events, or when you're in business, or when you're in work and things are going crazy, it's like, okay, this is a dark moment for me, but I know I have a way out, because my path is to show me to keep going. And in those things, you know, you just have to reverence. God, all right, I'm thank you for my patience. Like, it's just little things that you have to know. And once you start to implement God and the Holy Spirit into what you do, things will And then you will also know what not to touch. You will also know you have a client and they may have the money, but they're temperament. It's like, oh, that's not conducive for me. You know, and you have to be willing to turn away the money because the money is not going to be worth the headache that they're going to give you.
Wow.
You know, and I have done that. You know, I've turned away a $250,000 budget, but the grandparents were prejudiced, and I'm like, nah, I ain't gonna be able to do it. You know, and they was like, are you crazy? I'm like, no, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with the energy. I'm not dealing with the negativity. I'm not dealing with the you always over my shoulder micromanaging me. You hired me to do my skill. This is what I do. Let me do it. Right. What you need to know and where you need to be, I'll let you know where you need to be. But not every movement I make, you over my shoulder.
Micromanagement.
You're not going to do that to me. And I was like, no, thank you. I refer y'all to such and such company. And I referred them. And she called me. She was like, I should have never took that job. I was like, that was a choice you made. And I didn't take it. So she told me, I told her, I said, listen, I'm not taking this job. I'm going to refer them to you though. I said, and you decide if you want to take the job. And I said, but they are very patient, trying people. You know, and I try not to down talk people, but like I said, they're patient, trying. And she was like, oh, the grandfather was just hearing it. I'm like, oh, you should have made it. Where did you use your discernment? But it's just like even being here doing this podcast for me is surreal. You know, I would have never thought I'd have been able to be on something like that. Like that was not even my scope of work. And just to be able to tell people what God does, how He has did for me, how He has. I have done more with nothing than with money. I have been more places when God has shown me favor, and people when they say He'll throw your name to them, He'll make you great among that. He'll throw your name to them. So when they say that, you know, most times it's just a saying, but then when you start to see it manifest, it's like, oh no, like that kind of thing. And you know, I have been in settings where everybody in a room making six figures, and I'm not making no figures. Right. And I'm like, well, how? Like, everybody is making six figures. Like, why am I here? But nobody had the perspective or the talent to be, or the sight to be able to see what the vision was, and to be able to take the vision and really make it form into something tangible. It was like, okay, I see why I'm here. And then like this person was like, oh well, I'll pay for that, and I'll pay for it all. Like, don't worry about it. Like, just, you know. And I'm like, the teacher's like, oh, I want you to come up and show everybody. And I'm like, wait, you're the teacher. They was like, but you know how to explain it better. You know, you give it a different definition to it. And it's just, that's where it took. That's how it got me here. And you know, having a disciplined study time and a disciplined time of prayer. Like your personal prayer life, your personal relationship with God makes a difference as well. Because He will give you insight on how to handle things. He will show you what it's supposed to look like. And when people start to talk to you, you'll be able to visualize that picture and pull it out. And that's in anything. That's in like, oh, okay, I know this person wants this kind of house, and they'll find a specific house that person wants. Or I know this person wants that kind of car, or they trying to build this portfolio like that. Like you can apply it in any genre. And that's it.
Right. So what advice would you give to someone, at a business owner that's probably in your space, your type of field, or that's aspires to be about doing catering? What advice would you give to them that you wish you had gotten when you was beginning?
Find a mentor. Find a mentor that is truly going to be invested in you. And do the work. And don't give up. If it's a dream, if it's your passion, just keep pushing away. No matter what the money look like, no matter what it look like. If you only do it once a month, if you only do it once every 6 months, like just keep going. Because as you go and grow, you'll start to do it more. And but having a mentor is important, and doing work is important. Like doing the study, reading, finding the YouTube, whatever, DIYs, and just keep going and just believe in yourself. For me, I do not have a lot of support with my business. I have some people who will invest in me, and others that just kind of just waiting to see it fall. And every year it gets bigger,
right?
And I'm like, wow, it's like every year, if I do one event every year, every time I do it, it gets bigger. There is a lot of sacrifice. There is a lot of tears. There is a lot of sleepless nights. There are a lot of people who will doubt you, and always know that as long as you trust God, and as long as God is directing you in that, nothing else really matters. It doesn't. You just got to keep going and just go with Him. And in the minute, somebody will pick you up, and you'll be nonstop. Business is love-hate. People think you go into business because you want to make all this money. In the first 5 to 10 years, you barely make money because you're investing in yourself. And investing in yourself is important. So, that's important.
Right. So, like you say, you're a very planning. You're doing a lot. So, what does Camille do with self-care?
We have a sleep schedule. So I have to be in the bed and be asleep by 11:30. I get up at 7:30. I take daily walks. I have quiet time. I read, and I watch cartoons.
Cartoons, wow. Okay.
Yes, I watch cartoons.
You watch Cartoon Network, or what's your favorite show?
Tom and Jerry.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
My favorite cartoons is Tom and Jerry, but the cartoons that I watch Tom and Jerry, I watch the Bugs Bunny, I watch the Animaniacs. I go into the old, like, Speed Buggy, Mighty Mouse, Mighty Dog. Like, I be searching for the old cartoons.
Wow, okay. Tell you about your childhood, that Saturday
morning cartoons.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And then I got grandkids. So, the Cinderellas, the Tangled, the Princess and the Frog. I watch all of that stuff. We just took them to see the Barbie movie, which I thought was crazy, but they loved it, so. It didn't make sense to me, but it makes sense.
Okay.
But I did like the Barbie movie because I like how they used the monochromatics in the movie, but that's just the planner in me.
Okay.
It's just the design.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I'm always looking, like, this picture is like captivating to me because of the color scheme. But I can pull inspiration from anything. And that's just the vision that God gave me.
Right.
That's the eyesight He gave me. Like, I can go into the room, and if it's one thing off, it could be 50 tables in the room. I'm like, that table out of line. Like,
right.
Like, one of the planners that I work with, her name is Danielle. And anytime anything don't feel right in the room to her, she's like, somebody go get Camille. She's like, okay, but like, is it good in here? Like, and I'll be like, no, that's wrong. That ain't right. She was like, see, I just gotta go every time. But in my personal time, and I listen to music, I ride a motorcycle, so I ride my bike a lot of the times. And that's where I find my peace. I take vacations by myself. I take go get a hotel room for 2 days and just shut everybody out.
Yeah.
Turn my phone off. I go to spa day. I get massages. I get personal pedicures and manicures where it's just me and the tech. Like, it's not nobody else in the. I pay for the extras. And I try to do it once a month. Because you have to shut down, especially when you're a creative, because your mind is always pulling information. And then when you're a creative and then you're studying the Word of God, God is always downloading. So your mind is always, and you have to be able to, I had to learn how to turn it off.
Right.
And, but that's it. I may make some flowers every now and again, and maybe not. A lot of times, some days I want flowers, and some days I'm like, I don't want to see a flower. And it just depends, like, and just growing and knowing yourself,
right?
Knowing who you are, knowing what your boundaries are, and just that part right here.
Right. And couple more questions. What advice would you give to the younger Camille Craver?
The younger me, I would say to me, don't worry about what people say. When you're blackballed or made to be the outcast or the black sheep, it does a lot of mental damage. And I would tell the younger me, don't worry about what people say. Just stay who you are. And in that, I stayed who I was as a little me and as a teenage me, and I just dealt with the hits, as they would say. And my grandmother, she used to always say, you're not like them, so don't worry about it.
Right.
And she just like drilled that into my mind. She was like, you're never going to be like them. Don't let them make you like them. Like, you're you, stay you. So with that kept me. And then I just kind of branched off into my own. Like, I still would go out, and then I'm like, hey. And they would be over there partying, and I would be over here, And then being different, They was into going out, getting dressed up, and I was racing cars and riding motorcycles. So that younger advice for me would, don't worry about what people say.
Right. So, last question. Where people can find you for more information about your services, things like that, and how to get in contact with you.
People can find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Craver Collections. They can find me on Facebook, the same handle, Craver Collections. They can find me on my website, the same, Craver Collections. Everything is the same.
Okay.
You always can send information in 24 hours from the website, the Instagram page, and the Facebook page. My email is ccraver@Craver Collections. And you can always get me there.
Okay. All right. Miss Camille Craver, the founder and CEO of Craver Collections. Collections. I want to.
And that's the thing too. People, in a name, you have to know the definition of your name and your color. So that's another little tip that's I thought.
Okay. All right. No, so can you expound that real quick? What you mean by that? Expound real quick.
Okay. So when you pick your business name, it needs to have a meaning. Now, my business is Craver Collections. Now, my last name is Craver.
Right.
And the reason why I use my last name because it's my father's name. And to be able to keep him alive, that's why I used it. Collections I chose because I used to be called Craving Cravers because I was a caterer. And that sounds like food. Like food, crave food, whatever. So I had to change it when I rebranded it because I was no longer doing food. Now, I do offer food services. But I chose collections because, one, collections are custom batches of things. So say you have a collection of, like the Fabergé eggs, art collections, card collections. Each one has an individual thing. And then, the meaning of collection is something that is value that you put in a particular space. So that's why I chose that. And it makes sense to me. I just actually went into the dictionary and looked up everything that started with a C and went through it because I wanted to keep my particular logo, which was 2 C's. And that's how I came up with the collections. And then how you choose your colors is based off your business. So my business colors is black, white, and silver. Black because it's bold, white because it's clean and simplicity, and silver because it gives you that business of elegance. So that's why I chose those colors.
Okay. All right, you gotta be mindful of the colors too. Sometimes you be mindful of the colors, and sometimes
because colors have meaning.
Black has meaning too. Sometimes as your business evolves, you probably want to be brand and be shaping, So it should get a different look, So like make it more authentic and more like you, the owner, the CEO of brand. So be mindful. You don't have to be the same logo every 10 to 15 years. You can actually rebrand and refocus because by the time you have done work, you have made some transformative work, but also to rebrand and get stuff out there.
And you're constantly learning.
Yeah.
You're always remain teachable.
That's right.
I don't care what you think you know. Somebody may know how to do the same thing you know how to do and do it more effectively. So you always got to be teachable, and that's where your humility comes in.
Right, that's that humility. Yep. So Ms. Camille Craver, the founder of Craver Collections. So I want to thank you for being a guest on our show. I want a big shout out to Monica Washington, the founder of Washington Events, for referring you to come on the show. So thank you, Monica.
Washington.
Yeah, thank you, Washington Events. Thank you so much for the referral. Hopefully, for those who want to sign for services, for those who are getting married, we want to have small scale effect and large scale effect coming up in the fall, because fall is about to hit up, live events coming up. So definitely hit up Camille for information, for a consultation, and then she will definitely do a great job with your event.
Oh, you can find me on Google too.
Google, okay, Google. On Google as well. So for those who are watching, thank you for joining us. Share the video, comment the video. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on our Instagram page, our Facebook page as well. I will tag you on there so you can share the video, because this is great information for those who are looking for someone to plan their event for the fall. So it's kind of stuck on what they want to do. Or have an idea how to go do it. It's a great time to connect with her, for the fall and maybe even for next year. So spread the word. Let's have a great rest of your Saturday. Be safe. Be safe. Drink. Stay hydrated. Keep God first. Keep God first, and keep being grateful for life comes strength, because that's not guaranteed. That's not assumed. Keep God first and be grateful. Thank you. Have a rest of Saturday. We'll see you soon on the Woman Strong to the Spirit show. Thank you.